الله أكبر حي على الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Arise, giving all praise to Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Give highest honors to his holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, love made manifest that man may comprehend, founder of the Mosque Temple of America. Extend those honors to the harbinger of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, founder of the UNIA, United Negro Improvement Association. Extend those honors to the Office of the Grand Governor, Sheikh Heru Rani CL. Extend those honors to the Lieutenant Grand Governor, the Office of the Chief Staff of the Mosque Temple of America, Chairman of the Mosque Temple of America. Extend high honors to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who raised up the black man in America, laid a foundation so that man can do for self. Taught that man need to learn about himself so that he can move forward in progress. Islam? I extend those honors to all that are in attendance today. We extend those honors to man, because when man honors man, he honors Allah. Islam?
Islam.
I greet you all in the universal greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Woo! I don't know what to say. Everything has been said already. If I say anything, you just be hearing the same words that have been spoken, by Brother Judge, Brother John, Brother Gerald. I'm here speaking on behalf of my grand Sheikh Heru Rani CL, who sends his peace to everyone. And these last few weeks have been extremely powerful, to say the least. We talk about unity, but what is unity? We think that, and this is not to speak against what anyone have already said, but what is unity? And what is functional unity? Right? Because unity not only starts at home, but it starts with self. That's right. Prophet Noble Drew Ali teaches that man has two selves. He said that those two selves are the higher self and the lower self. That's right. He said that the higher self is the mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life and breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. He said that the lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. And we have a problem in our community where the higher self and the lower self is disunited. It's separated. Right? Right. Good. So the first teaching that we have to learn is to know thyself. That's right. We have to know our higher self and our lower self. We have to know the functions of the higher self and the lower self. Right? Yes. And so when we teach our people to understand the difference between the higher self and the lower self, we can understand how to check ourselves in our engagement with other people. That's right. Then we can establish the foundation of the family. Because if two people are operating in the lower self, in the family, then the family is dysfunctional. That's right. That's right. You tell me if I'm wrong. That's right. Right. These are the foundations that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali established. These are the foundations that the Master Fard Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad established. Right? So that we can, in honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, these are the foundations that they established so that we can understand how to engage with our brother and sister and move forward from that point. Because if we don't have unity within self, we're going to cause destruction within the organization. That's right. That's right. Right? That's right. What is a movement without organization? Yes, sir. We have to organize ourselves. You're right. Because if the lower self is leading the way, it's going to cause everything that harms. Right? Right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So I came, I had nothing to say, and I remember that I was going home because the Nation of Islam for us, it is home. We're speaking to our family. Yes, sir. And we know that the words that we speak, for Prophet Noble Drew Ali are the same words that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke as well. So I'm going to read from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali so I can be safe. Yes, sir. Is that okay? Yes, sir. Praise Allah. I'm going to speak from the Holy Quran, the More Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by the noble prophet, Drew Ali, by the guiding of his Father God, Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his Father God, Allah. I'm going to read from chapter 7, which is the friendship of Jesus and Lamaze. Jesus explains to Lamaze the meaning of truth. Right? You know, oftentimes we talk about truth. Well, what is truth? You know, in the correct questions for most Americans is that it asks, you know, what is truth? And the response is, truth is art. It says, what is art? Art is Allah. Islam? Islam. You know, we're taught that man is not the body nor the soul, but a spirit and part of Allah. So that means that we are all the same. The only thing that divides us is this form that we're in. So if we can get past the form, if we can get past the lower self, we can recognize that we are one with Allah. That's right. Islam?
That's right. Islam.
Someone pulled from an instruction that the monk was having a conversation with Jesus, and he asked him, he said, what do you say of power? And Jesus said, it is a manifest. It is the result of force. It is but naught. It is illusion, nothing more. Force changes not, but power changes as the ethers change. Force is the will of Allah and is omnipotent. And power is that will in manifest, directed by the breath. There is a power in the winds, a power in the waves, a power in the lightning stroke, a power in the human arm, a power in the eye. The ethers the ethers cause these powers to be, and thought of Elohim, an angel, man, or other thinking things directs this force. When it has done its work, the power is no more. So we talk about power in our community. We talk about these people, you know, who are in positions of power, and, you know, causing all the chaos in our communities and things like that. But do they really have power? Power is an illusion.
That's right. Yes.
Right? Do we have power?
Come on.
Do we recognize what power is? There's a source that we derive our power from.
That's right.
I heard Brother Judge speak about force and power.
Right.
Right? Our power comes from Allah.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
So if we have the power of Allah, then no other power has power over us.
That's right.
In our unity, we have power. Elijah Muhammad said,
Come on.
our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb.
That's right.
What is an atomic bomb? But organizing of atoms, you know, causing an explosion. See, when we organize, when we come together, when we unite, we are more powerful than an atomic bomb because we have the power of Allah.
That's right. That's right.
So when we come together, we are a force to be reckoned with.
Come on now, brother. You
Right?
Yes, Lord.
But power is an illusion, right? Because there was a point where power started or had its beginning, and there's a point when it will be no more. So when we say that man is not the body nor the soul, but a spirit and part of Allah, there's a part of us that was created, right? It had a beginning, and at some point it's going to have an end. But we can direct that power through our organization, right? Through our unity.
Yes.
That's
And we
right.
can pass that power on down to our generation, to our next generation, so that they can maintain that force. Right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
Right, sir.
Praise Allah.
Good teaching.
We talk about the, you know, unity and us, you know, brother. You know, I get honest to brother Judge. He said a lot. That's why I said I don't know what else to say. You know, he talked about not getting caught up in titles and names, right, and customs, right. You know, customs alter not the nature of truth. Right? You may do a thing a certain way, a ritualistic practice or whatnot, but it represents something internal. Right?
Right.
So when we come together in our organizations, we recognize that we have to sit down and have a conversation first.
That's right.
To recognize that we're actually saying the same thing.
Same thing.
This is what me and Brother Jerry always talk about.
Yeah.
When we hear our brothers and sisters talk in different organizations, we hear that universal truth being spoken.
That's right.
Across the board.
That's right.
Right? So because I call my creator Allah, and you call them Olodumare, or you call them Thoth, or you call them Paragon. It is the same causeless cause and rootless root from which all things spring forth.
Yes, it is.
But we have to have a conversation first,
Yeah,
right? We have to have an understanding so that we can move forward.
that's right.
So I'm going to read what Prophet Obadiah talks about understanding, if that's okay with me, with the family.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So again, Lamas asked, of understanding what have you to say? And Jesus said, it is the rock on which man builds himself. It is the gnosis of the art of falsehood and of truth. Right? So it's the knowledge of the falsehood and of truth. It's the knowledge of the higher self and the lower self. Right?
Yes, sir.
It is the knowledge of the lower self, I just said that. The sensing of the powers of man himself. Right? And it says again, Lamas asked, of wisdom, what have you to say? And Jesus said, it is the consciousness that man is all, that Allah and man are one. Man is not the body of the soul, the spirit is part of Allah. When we can come to that realization that Allah is the only reality,
That's right.
everything else is falsehood.
Yes, that's right.
Everything else will
Right.
pass
Come
away.
on now,
If
brother.
it has a beginning, it will have an end.
That's right.
Allah is infinite. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite.
Come on.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Right?
That's
We
right.
can't contain Allah. We can't put Allah in the box.
That's right.
Which is why we have to have a conversation with each other and recognize that we're all saying the same thing.
Yes, sir.
We all have a common goal. We all have a common enemy.
That's right.
When we can recognize that we have a common enemy, we can sit together and have a conversation and move forward and recognize how to defeat that common enemy.
That's right.
That's
sir.
right, brother.
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
Right, sir.
Praise Allah.
Praise
Good
the Lord.
The
teaching.
brother
That's
said
right.
that, the brother, he said, I'm bald headed. The brother got on the feds. He got on the suit. But all those things has a beginning.
That's right.
They all have a beginning. It means that they all will have an end. And those things will pass away. So we have to recognize the infinite part of ourselves so that we can recognize that our unity goes beyond the physical manifestation.
That's right.
Our unity goes beyond that. We are all part of one collective creator. We all have the power of Allah within us.
That's right.
Allah is within man. Right?
That's right.
So when we seek Allah, we don't seek to the sky. Right? Prophet Obadiah teaches that the nearest place to meet Allah is in the heart.
That's right. In the heart.
That's right.
You're right.
Chapter 8, Jesus reveals to the people of their sinful ways. In instruction 7, it reads, Allah's meeting place with man is in the heart. And in a still small voice he speaks. And he who hears is still. And all the people said, teach us to know the Holy One who speaks within the heart, Allah, of the still small voice. And Jesus said, the holy breath cannot be seen with mortal eyes, nor can man see the spirit of the Holy One. But in their image man was made. And he who looks into the face of man looks at the image of Allah who speaks within.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Brother Gerald just mentioned it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brother Gerald. And when we look into the face of each other, we see Allah.
You see Allah?
That's right.
And we're all connected.
Oh,
We're all connected to the universal creator.
that's right.
There's no separation between us,
That's right.
but we have to separate. Right? That's been a conversation over the last couple of days, right? Separation.
Separation.
Because what we are separating from, we're separating from the Father. We're separating from the oppression
Right.
that the oppressor has under, right? So there's a place for separation, but we have to recognize that that separation comes outside of ourselves, right? But we have to unite within so that we can unite with each other, so that we can unite under our common goal.
Yes.
Praise Allah.
Praise the Lord.
That's right.
But in their image, man was made, and he who looks into the face of man looks into the image, looks at the image of Allah who speaks within him. And when man honors man, he honors Allah. And what man does for man, he does for Allah. And you must bear in mind that when man harms in thought, or word, or deed another man, he does a wrong to Allah. If you would serve Allah who speaks within the heart, just serve the near kin and those who are no kin, the stranger at your gates, the foe who seeks to do you harm. See, sometimes we have a foe who seeks to do us harm. And sometimes that foe looks just like us.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, sometimes the foe, you know, has a sense of power. You know, I got power over you. You know, I hold this particular title, so you got to do what I say. But is that something Allah?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Right, that's not from Allah. Right?
That's not from Allah.
That's right.
Because the highest title that you can have is faithful. The highest title that you can have, as the brother said, is brother and sister.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
If I can call you brother and sister, if I can call you friend, that is the highest title of them all.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Not sheik, not grand sheik, not student minister, not minister, not grand supreme Alibaba, as somebody said. You know, all of these titles are titles of additional responsibility to serve.
That's right. Sir.
So if you got these high titles, you got a lot of responsibility on your hands. A whole lot of responsibility.
A whole lot.
I had a lot to say, but they said everything. So, you know, in that spirit, you know, we talk about you know, unity and how, you know, how do we move forward and how do we, you know, rectify, you know, the organizations coming together and you know, working together and, you know, common goal. And simply, it's us coming to an understanding, right? It's us establishing a foundation so that we can build ourselves on that foundation. You know, Prophet Ali gives us the tools of the workshop of the mind. He said that, you know, he gave us the compass, the square, the axe, right? All of these tools that are used to build up physical structures, but they are also representative of elements that in the mind where we can, you know, build up the temple of perfected man. Right? We use the compass to circumscribe our passions to keep them within the bounds of righteousness. Right? So we recognize with these tools we can use them in a way that is beneficial to building up self, so that I can build a better relationship with my family, with my friends, with my, you know, with those members in my organization, with the members of my community, with the political leaders, with the police, etc., etc. Right? And so one of those, you know, I think about a few days ago, our brother Gerald and Sister Carmelita was in attendance on Thursday when we had an event called Clippers and Cops. Clippers and Cops. And basically this event was designed so that the police officers or the law enforcement agencies can come out and engage with the community to basically address any concerns that are going on in the community. Pardon, it's a net. I think he's a part of our life. To address the community and you know, to address any concerns that, you know, the community may have. And what we saw was that because our people are so wrapped up in their emotions and their passions, that it's hard for them to get their concerns addressed. It's hard for them to verbalize their concerns.
Yeah.
And the entire time, the police officers or the law enforcement agencies, which were, you know, all Asiatic brothers and sisters, mostly, they were trying to empower the community to say, organize amongst yourselves. Learn how to police yourselves. Right? Because we shouldn't have to come to your community unless it's very, very much necessary. Right?
Right.
Because the reality is that oftentimes when the police are called, it's a very hostile situation. Which means that we have a lot of work to do in civilizing our own people.
That's right.
That's
Yes,
how I run
sir.
it. The once before civilized is now having to be civilized. We civilized the whole world. Now we got to civilize ourselves.
That's right, sir.
And how do we do that? We do that through the teachings of the Honorable Marx Mosiah Garvey. We do that through the teachings of the Prophet Noble Ali. We do that through the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We do that through learning those necessary skills and tools that are needed to develop ourselves and develop our families, so that we can build a better society, you know, that we live in. Right? And you can't tell me that we don't have everything that is needed, that is necessary for us to develop our communities.
That's right.
That's right.
But it starts with self.
Yes, it does.
What's up?
Islam.
Islam.
So I'm gonna read one more instruction and I'll get down, because I know I get long-winded sometimes, and I have y'all here for the whole don't know what there's a chapter in the Holy Quran, the Mosque 15B of America, titled Inconstancy. And this chapter is basically designed to for us to understand the issues that we have with being consistent as individuals and as a people. But I just want to read one instruction, because we talk about having resolve, having understanding, right? It says, "Those who gave thee a body furnished it with weakness, but he who gave thee a soul armed thee with resolution. Employ it, and thou art wise. Be wise, and thou art happy." So, Prophet Noble Ali teaches that, the soul, there are 4 actions of the soul. It's thinking, reasoning, willing, and understanding. And one of those actions that I take a kindness to is reasoning. There aren't many creatures on the earth that has this ability to reason with one another. When we have the ability to reason, we can have the ability to have religious tolerance, to recognize the differences that we may have, but also see the commonalities in those differences. But we have to learn how to reason with one another. I always give the example that if you put a pack of meat down on the floor in front of a bunch of dogs, what happens? They fight each other over that meat, right? But if we all have to take the martyr, all the way down Old National, and it's 4 of us, and we only have $1, and bus fare is $0.25, we can reason with one another and say, okay, we get $0.25 apiece, and we can all get to the same destination. We all have something that we can offer each other to get to that destination.
That's right.
But we have to learn how to reason together. We have to learn that understanding is the rock on which man builds himself, so that we can understand each other, come to a mutual understanding, so that we can move forward to reach that goal, to reach that common goal. Is that right?
That's right, sir.
So with that, I don't have anything else to say, because again, everybody else said everything that I was going to say. All right? But it's always, a pleasure to be here amongst, the Nation of Islam, Muhammad's Mosque 15B. And I give high honors to student minister Stanley Muhammad and Ruth Muhammad, and we pray that all is going well with them. And if there's anything that we can do to lend our assistance to 15B as well as the family of Stanley and Ruth, please let us know.
Yes,
We're
sir.
here. We're a phone call away. I think we've demonstrated that.
That's right. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So with that, I leave you all in the universal greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allahu Akbar.